We're not. I told
The
you to
video
go
was not
live.
rolling on YouTube.
Okay, something was happening. Yeah, no, it's working.
Yay! We're live.
I don't know. Did everyone miss the intro? Did they? Can people actually see and hear us? Because that's
It still says waiting for Jen's little corner to me.
That was a good
Does
intro.
it? Why did it say it went live to me? Crappy.
Okay,
Oh,
you are
no,
just
it's live.
YouTube
It's
link.
live. No,
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 it's
it's
on.
just YouTube
Okay.
being weird. I don't know if everybody saw everything or not.
Yay!
Welcome to the What the Fuck show.
It's got a
but
picture
this
of
didn't
Chicago.
already
Yeah, it's just
come out.
starting now.
YouTube is being a bitch. So what a week we've
There
had,
we
as
go, I'm
I
seeing
already
it on
said.
my screen.
The leader of the free world, the one and only
Don't call
Donald
him
Trump
that.
incites violence and rioting within your nation's capital. And with me here tonight, we have my wonderful partner Will.
Hello.
Because it is our show, so he should be here.
Yes.
We have the
How's
lovely
everyone
Jenny
doing?
Morgan.
Yes.
Hi, Jen.
Good evening.
We have Purple Rhymes with Orange. Hi, Perps.
Hello.
We have Julie LaVoice. LaVoice, not The Voice, but she is The Voice.
It's all right. I could tell you the story, but it's weird. It basically is just about a dude changing the spelling to escape debtors, or his debts, rather. Not people he owed money to. No, people he owed money to. Not people who owe money to. Doesn't matter. Anyway, point is, hi. Yeah. I've called Julie the Voice since
I'm so confused.
And we've got Jyuni the Apostate. Hi, Jyuni.
Salutations, everybody.
A little bit later on, we'll
what
have
a
Divine
week.
Disbelief joining us, and we may drag a few other people in from the chat if they're interested and have something to offer. So we'll see where this takes us. But I know, Julie, you've been going crazy doing some research for this.
Fuck. Yeah. Also, Jen, can I curse on your channel?
You may. Have you not watched my channel?
I have.
And honestly, with what's been going on, you need to curse. You have to let it go.
Thank you.
I'm an Australian and I need to curse.
Yeah,
Fuck
everything is just, Trump is a fucking cunt, and it's a mess right now. And we all a fucking cunt.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna get. Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna go.
Shock.
I'm an Australian curse right now. I am just so. I love you guys, by the way. You know that, right? Okay, so you gave me the Australians gave me the freedom to say cunt. So I just want to put that out there. Like, y'all are amazing. It's a very taboo word in the States, but I'm focusing it on a pompous, a malignant narcissist. So who happens to have male genitalia, so it's all right. That's if I were to call another woman that here in the States, I might get a slap to the face or a punch in the nose, and I would accept that. But this is, different situation. Anyway, Trump is a fucking cunt, and here's what he's done.
Oh, you forgot micro penis.
Yeah, probably. I would not be shocked. But luckily, I've never been close to
Susan's
his
wondering if
jacket.
we need Susan in here. Susan, you're more than welcome to join too. You and Nathaniel are both welcome to come in and join this discussion.
Please. Susan, get up in here. Okay, so anyway,
you should have the link because I sent it to your hubby. So if you want to hop in, Susan, please do. We will drop you in the chat.
Just the main thesis that I want to state, and I'm not the first person to say it, but the thing is, people believe, and I'm including members of my family in this. Some people believe Trump, and they believe everything that he says. So when he says the election was stolen from us, they believe that. And because he is constantly lying about that and never took it back, never said, he said go home in peace. Sure, what the fuck ever. You're special. We love you.
Shall we play that? I
not-
have it queued up.
He has not backed down, though. He has not backed down at all. He hasn't backed down from any of his rhetoric at all. That's the problem. And he's instead of saying something, he's just equivocating. He's saying,
exactly.
we should just back off. No, they should all.
And you know what? 4 people now from just yesterday are dead as a result. 4 people are dead. And they were in his camp. They were on his side, but I don't care. The fact is that 4 Americans are dead because their commander-in-chief told them, hey, they're stealing your election. Let's go steal it back. And they believed him.
and I could have the numbers wrong, but I think it was 14,000 people were arrested during Black Lives Matter protests, and it was what 68? Yeah, some bullshit.
Some bullshit white people number.
It's insanity.
It was like
one
Black
good note
Lives Matter
is
people arrested just at the DC protest last June.
Yikes!
ABC had a full story about the racism, apparent racism in one demonstration versus the other.
Yes.
So it's not something that's being completely shoveled under the carpet.
That's
Yeah,
I've tried
we
to.
were talking about the night of. Like, people were like, "Huh, funny how much tear gas there isn't."
That's not going to work. Okay, now sorry that I've applied myself a problem because it changes the way the capture works from OBS now. But if I share a Twitter screen, yay! That's all right. I can solve the problem, but I'm gonna have to. It's gonna take me a little bit of messing around. So
That's
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a stream without technical problems.
Why was it at them storming the Capitol building? Why did the police open the gates for the protesters?
okay. Well, there's
At any of the other protests, they would have been lobbing tear gas at the first person trying to climb over the gate.
I don't know, maybe for the same reason that some of the police were given high fives and yucking it up with people in the Capitol at the time.
There are two reasons for that. One, Jenny just mentioned, is that some of the Capitol Police were on the side of the protesters because, like the protesters, the insurrectionists, because that's what they fucking are. By law, they are insurrectionists, and but they were on their side, and so some, they were like, all right, go ahead. And then, but there's an amazing video, and I'm so sorry I didn't capture it to cite it. I'm sorry, but of a black Capitol Police officer who is being chased up the stairs by white insurrectionists, and he has his billy club out. He has a gun on his hip, but he's not willing to draw it, and he's just saying, "Stop. Stop!" Like if you come and this is like Capitol Hill, Capitol footage from their security cameras, and he's like, "If you come closer, I'm gonna have to hit you. Like, stop!" And they're just not, and they chase him up like 3 flights.
I couldn't stomach that. It took me about 3 tries to watch the whole thing.
Let's watch Donald Trump's concession speech.
I don't know if it's showing right now on. I don't think it's showing right now.
It won't on YouTube yet until I do it. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to bring that up and we're going to play that because I have to go back to the beginning.
Yeah, I guess please. I haven't watched this yet, so I may freak out.
Speech.
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack on the United States Capitol. Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem.
Liar.
I immediately deployed the National Guard.
Sure.
Can I just pause that and say, you did not deploy the National Guard, you fucking dipshit. Pence did.
No.
You're a lying sack of shit.
15 seconds in.
I know.
15 seconds.
You had to. 8 seconds in, live.
Yeah. He's unbelievable, isn't he? It gets worse.
And federal law enforcement to secure the building and expel the intruders. America is and must always be a nation of law and order. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. To those who engaged in the acts of violence and destruction, you do not represent our country. And to those who broke the law, you will pay. We have been through it.
Sent there and told to do that, and
on
that's
Twitter.
kind of did it. You fucking dick. How do you not?
Right.
He is. He's a complete and absolute ass, and he goes on further. But this whole thing that I mean, he's very robotic reading this. It is quite obvious he doesn't want to read this. His body language says, "I don't want to read this."
He's exhausted all his options. He has nowhere else to run. There's no one else to sue. There's no one,
Those who broke the law will be punished. Does that count the guy who was instigating them to riot just a couple hours earlier?
It really should.
Or in 15 days. One or the other. It would be one or the other, because the statute of limitations to incite to riot is longer than 15 days. So he can be, I should say, not will be, because I don't know, but he can be prosecuted for this the moment he's no longer president. And I signed a petition today to have him removed from office immediately. I don't know how.
But how many charges are we up to at this point? How many felonies? How many things can we charge this man with?
Right,
Dozens.
But at this point, it's gone so beyond the pale.
I've lost count.
The last time that the Capitol building was breached and it was set on fire was by British troops in 1814. So
what's really important to remember here, folks, is that these people have proven that they are irrational, and they don't give a fuck about what they're doing, and that everything we do now from this point forward to fight these guys is going to be met with the kind of resistance that they showed the last night.
But it's also shown how weak our infrastructure is. These people were allowed to walk into a Capitol building. I don't think the average American realized that if someone like me attempted that, they would have shot me on the front steps.
Well, does that mean that we need to? Does that mean we need to station military personnel at all of our important buildings and places like they do in some of the foreign countries?
No, but the problem is that we used to have protocol that if somebody stepped into the building in a threatening manner, they would be put down immediately.
And I do want to say to everybody, like, if you want some of the hardcore legal stuff on this, go check out Opening Arguments with Andrew Torres and, damn it, that other really awesome guy that does a show with him. I'm so sorry, man. Well, but Opening Arguments is the name of the podcast, and they did a live thing last night talking about this. And Andrew Torres is a lawyer, and he talks about the constitutional laws and what applies and what doesn't, and it's very illuminating in terms of like the legality of the situation.
But they knew this was coming.
Oh yeah,
so right. Why weren't they set up with the kind of police force being there that was there before any of the Black Lives Matter protest?
Yeah,
why wasn't there a line of police officers in riot gear?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, the National Guard wasn't called until after the fact.
Because they were told that they were probably
a BLM protest. They were all there, ready to go.
Oh yeah, this is directly from the president. This is what he wanted. He wanted a civil war so that he could declare martial law and be dictator.
Absolutely.
Which isn't going to happen.
No, it's not, because we have murder drones, and the military is not with him. That's to have a successful coup. Let me just school you a little bit.
I was about to say.
School
us, Julie. Give us an education.
You guys, y'all know. I'm not schooling y'all. I'm schooling Donald Trump. Donald Trump, if you're listening, motherfucker, you have general history in your fucking pocket before you try to start a civil war, because the thing is, the U.S. military, it's the only thing we spend money on. We don't give a shit about healthcare. We don't give a shit about education. We don't give a shit about anything. We spend all our money. That's why we are feared around the world. It's the only thing that makes us not a developing nation is our fucking military.
Last time I looked up the numbers.
Murder drones. We have drones that can murder you from the sky. So all y'all rednecks with your AR-15s and your AK-47s, I'm sorry, but you don't have a shot at a second civil war. It ain't going to happen. You're going to die. That's what's going to happen. And the sad thing, and I'm sorry I'm yelling. I'm very upset. I'm trying to sit far away from the mic. But the sad thing is that these people that were following him, I saw several interviews, and they truly believe they're doing the patriotic thing. They believe they're doing the right thing. They believe the election was stolen from them.
Because propaganda works.
This motherfucker keeps saying it.
No, because he wouldn't be saying it.
Because he doesn't care about anyone but himself. He never has.
But propaganda works.
Shtick is self-interest. He wanted the presidency so he could do the shit that he wanted to do so that he could keep his head above water financially. That's all it was.
Yes, all the way yes. I mean, it's just, and I'm so sorry. I will calm down in a moment.
So just right now in the Pacific Ocean, we have 250,000 ships deployed.
Boom. There you go.
Just on my side of the ocean, I'm not going to type in the Atlantic Fleet, but so for people who are saying this is a civil war and they're scared, and I understand these people are scary, but if you caught one of them by themselves, they would not say anything to you. They would literally walk in the opposite direction.
Oh yeah.
Look,
this is not war.
Even the Proud Boys would walk in the opposite direction because they'd be scared.
Yeah.
Around here, they walk in the opposite direction. This is not war.
Yeah.
This is nowhere near war. People take their Trump hats off.
You know what I did?
Different where I live. It's different.
Right before the stream. Y'all know what I did right before the stream? Don't smoke tobacco. It's fucking stupid and it's bad for you. Don't do it. But I walked across the street to buy cigarettes, and the attendant had to go to the main building to use the restroom. So I had to wait for about 15 minutes in 39, which is roughly 2, I think, Celsius degree weather. And I was wearing my I Heart Nerd shirt that a student gave me once, and I was just freezing my ass off, girl. I was wearing my coat that I wore in Scotland, and that was the only thing that saved me. But so I was waiting for her to come back. And no, my point in just saying this. Oh fuck! I lost my point. Shit.
I do that often.
Oh fuck! I remember. Okay, I remember. I'm sorry. I remember. Is that everybody right in this moment? And frankly, I was scared to go out last night because I live in a really red state. I live in a blue city in a red state, but still, I was scared. Memphis is amazing, and I love y'all. Love you, Memphis.
Great music.
Yeah, thank you. We do have great music. We have the best music. But yeah, I went across the street. No, nobody said anything. Everybody was kind of like, it's like they were going out of their way to be kinder to each other. Nobody bitched about the fact that, Selena had to go use the restroom. Yes, I do know her by name.
Oh, and Hunter brings up a good point. Did any of you guys see the Civil War t-shirts these idiots were printing?
Yeah. Did anybody see the camp?
Yes, I saw that as well. I saw that.
Right.
And this is what happens when you get disconnected from history and people forget. How many generations are we removed and people are no longer taking World War II serious?
Yeah, and I also
scary.
Say, my husband, or I'm sorry, my spouse is a very gendered term. Husband, my junk shop had to school me on this because I didn't know what this meant, and I'm fucking tearing up. I'm sorry, but I've got a lot of Jewish friends, and this really upset me. Apparently, another thing that people were showing off, along with the Camp Auschwitz T-shirt, that one guy who looked like your Uncle Cletus, who lives in the fucking trailer in the backyard, guy. And I don't care who I fucking offend tonight. I don't fucking care. But there are also these things. These numbers and letters, and it's 6MIE, which means apparently 6 million isn't enough.
Oh, I never. Do you know what's funny? I never clicked on that because I always see that on Twitter. I never clicked on it because I didn't want to know what it meant.
I was like, I'm afraid to Google this, and Jung Shab was like, I am too. I just somehow happened to see it spelled out once, and I was like, okay, well, thank you.
But that's what's happening is that that's what happens when you dehumanize people. But the problem is we have a formula. We know what happens when we go down this road. It's not like this is something new. No. So that's why it's shocking that that this is allowed to go on. And
if we don't learn from history. But we
do repeat history, though. That's the problem.
Well, as Jan Wilson pointed out, and some other people, like, if we don't learn, we are doomed to repeat it. I know it's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. It's one of the good ones. I know that's fucked up to say about cliches, but as a writer, but yeah, that's one that we need to keep. That's
Jyuni, Jyuni, how does all this situation make you feel? Everything that's been going on the past 2 days.
Oh, well, as I was saying earlier, I yesterday I was at work, and I didn't get out maybe until 8. So I got home and I didn't know what was going on. My phone was dead, and then by the time I turned it on, I was just charging my car, and then I get a message from my partner saying that, did you see that what happened at the Capitol? I'm like, no, all I know is that they were doing the counts, and also the they were going around the table, saying what they felt about the whole election, right? And then I just got like a bunch of videos and a bunch of news that were showing exactly what happened. I'm like, oh my gosh, these people have the audacity. And then it's exactly what I was saying was, what happened to all the, all the protection that we had in the Black Lives Matters movement,
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
like behind me in my picture, these are the wall of moms. Where are these people here?
Yes. Thank you.
Come on.
It's not a wall of pregnant mothers. It's not a wall of people who have been subjected to horrific human rights violations for 400 years. I just kept thinking it. The whole time I was watching this, I was like, God damn, this is a pasty motherfucking crowd right here. These are, and at one point, I got to tell you, at one point, I saw a young man, the camera just flashed on this young man with a beard and a hat, and I was like, holy fucking shit, is that my nephew? Because I was about to lose my shit. And I studied. I had to and luckily the camera stayed on him long enough that I was able to look at his face and realize, okay, no, that's not my nephew. It's okay. My nephew is in Chattanooga. It's all good, but I had a come to Jesus moment where I was just... And if y'all are from the South, you know what I mean by that. You know what I mean? Like, I had a moment where
the most ingenious defense put up was the wall of dads. That when the police were using the tear gas at every protest, they had a line of guys with cordless leaf blowers to blow the tear gas back at the police.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
Somebody was live streaming all the Portland, like when everything was happening in Portland, someone was live streaming it. I had to stop watching it after a while.
I have a friend of mine living in Portland
because I lived there.
Really worried.
Yeah,
if we look at these dreadful things that happen too much, it does get it gets really depressing.
Well,
it really does.
And you guys are living in it. I mean, this is what I don't get about patriots, and you guys, being all American, can explain this to me. I don't get this about the patriotism that you guys get. As for Australians, our patriotism is we're quietly happy that we're Australians. We are really happy when we beat another country at a sport. We are really, it's really awesome to us when something that we do lifts us up in the world's image. But we don't jump on the streets and shout and scream about being Australian and being patriotic and getting weapons out, because that's not us. It is so rare. That's a time. And when a small minority of Australians do shit like that, the rest of us go, you're all fucking cunts. We're going to put you in prison. Because we don't see it the same way.
Americans have forgot what patriotism is supposed to be. Now it's all partisanism.
It's completely
right.
And I've also to say, like,
as well. In addition to what Purple said, I would say patriotism is conflated with nationalism, and I would say the true patriots yesterday were the two young ladies who were aides, and this is going to become an iconic image, and I hope we don't ever learn their names because I don't want them to be targets, but there were two young ladies who were just staffers, like aides, and they grabbed one of the mahogany boxes with and somebody called me out on this earlier, and they said, well, that wouldn't have ended our democracy. And I'm like, I don't care. It's important. They grabbed the mahogany boxes with the electoral votes in them and evacuated with those. They had the thought to do that, and they did it. Sorry, Purple and everybody.
They need to,
I think also people conflate in this country what we think freedom is. If you didn't pay the taxes for your car, watch what happens. Go drive down the road. Don't pay your tags and see what happens when you get pulled over. Don't pay your mortgage. Like you own a house. Don't pay the land tax and see what happens.
Yeah, and my friend Michael,
it's an illusion.
Tell me why it is that I have to register and pay over $200 a year for car tags because my car might be dangerous. But I live in a state where you don't even have to have a permit to carry a concealed firearm.
That's ridiculous.
And why we don't have to register guns.
Over here,
American TV show you've seen where they're like, oh, the serial number of this gun is registered to so and so. Yeah, that's all bullshit. We don't have to do that at all.
Recently. Oh, go ahead, Jyuni.
Oh, sorry. I just recently owned my electric vehicle this year, and I learned that next month I have to pay a $400 oil tax.
Wow, for fuck's sake.
Yes.
Punishing you for having an environmentally conscious car.
Yes. I mean, I don't get it. To their defense.
Okay. Hold on. I have to address this. If you have an electric car, it means you're not buying gasoline. If you're not buying gasoline, you're not paying the tax on the gasoline. If you're not paying the tax on the gasoline, they have nowhere to take the money from to build your roads that you want to drive your electric car on.
Right.
Okay? That's where the taxes. No, let me finish. This is where the money comes from to have your roads. Is your gasoline tax, and if you're not going to pay something on that electric vehicle to contribute to that fund that benefits all of us, well, then maybe you shouldn't drive your damn electric vehicle.
Okay, but I guess on Monday. No, I have an example. On Monday, I'm getting a dumpster sent to my house because I'm cutting down the trees in my backyard.
Dumpster fire. No.
I'm throwing away a ton of stuff. I had to get a permit. I had to get a permit to put the dumpster in front of my house. So I had to, on top of the outrageous fee for the dumpster, which if I go over, I'm gonna have to pay more money. I had to pay $106 just to have that thing in front of my house.
Very expensive. They get you coming and going, and it doesn't matter. But
in every direction,
you're right.
Well, but we expect these things from our government. We expect our government to cover roads, to cover education, to cover fire, to cover police. We have to have that money from somewhere, and that's what taxes are.
I'm fine with paying taxes.
The problem is, it's different in each state. It's different in each state.
Oh yeah, sure it is.
Tax burden on somebody who's doing the right thing, which is by Jyuni is by buying an environmentally conscious car. Don't put the heavier tax burden on that person. How much is your electric car fee? Elsewhere.
Mine it's $400, but and I used to pay $100. I used to pay $100 a year for my old vehicle, but
okay, so $400 a year is roughly $1.10, $1.15 a day, which would come out to about 3 gallons of gas in most states, and most people probably use more than that. So you're actually getting a deal.
Well, but
I just wish they would call it something else other than oil tax.
I pay the tax I pay on that per year for the license, so I don't get pulled over and ticketed and shit, is right under $200. So Jyuni, and granted, I live in a poor state, and that has something to do with it. But Jyuni is actually paying twice for her better electric vehicle that is better for the environment than I am for my gas guzzling. Well, not guzzling. It's a Toyota, so it's pretty good. But gas.
The hidden cost that Jenny is talking about, Julie, is that every time you put gas in your car, you're paying tax for every gallon of gas you put in your car.
Oh, I know. I live in a state with no income tax, so our sales tax is over.
That is the $400 that Juni's being charged. Is the fact that she's not paying tax every time she fills up the car.
Yeah, you fee yourself to death. You have a fee for fire, right? You have a fee for fire for garbage.
That does make sense.
For street maintenance, all those kind of separate things, right?
Which I'm
That's called income tax.
I feel like I'm having this moment. And Jason Starks, who is not watching this, but he's an old classmate of mine. Collierville High School, 1996. Woo, Jason Starks. If you're watching this, man, remember when you used to say, okay, so like the class is here and the point is over here? That this is what's happening right now. We need to get back to the insurrection bullshit. Because that's the important thing. I'm sorry. Also,
I know.
But this is all part of it. This is all part of it.
I agree, but I'm not going to burn down.
That side of the politics whole thing is that no taxation without representation. Although, as if that was actually something in the Revolutionary War.
It was actually
there was plenty of representation. There was no taxation on specific corporations that belong to the government versus independent corporations. Okay?
Yeah, but
that's what the Boston
though.
Tea Party was about, not representation.
Because here, where I live in California, we get ripped off for everything.
You realize you're heading for another Tea Party, the Trump Party. You realize it is very likely that the Republican Party could split. And you end up
that gives all new meanings. That gives all new meanings to teabagging. Think about it for a second. Let it sink in.
Or if anyone plays the game Euchre, if anyone plays the card game Euchre, you can't even say what's Trump's anymore without bringing that guy's name up.
I just changed it to dump.
Party were to
Tell me I'm wrong.
Can we just take 5 seconds to say a proper hello to B? Hi, B. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, B. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Hello. Hello, Will. Hello, Judy.
Hi, beautiful. How are you?
Trying to be as good as you. Good looking.
Aww.
If the Republican Party were to split, that would be wonderful. Because that would basically give the Democrats about a decade to try and repair this damage.
It's going to take that long. It's going to take that long.
All right.
I think the problem is to bring it back. And I'm going to show my age, but there's a generation of people that were told that were never told no. That
was not my generation.
That did not necessarily have to work for the things that they've had. And they had this illusion of being in charge. And one of the greatest things in this country is that we have equality because everyone's equally broke. We have equality in America. And now everybody's finally starting to realize that, you know? Mm-hmm. And so the people who thought they were franchised are the disenfranchised. So, you know, this is kind of, and like I said, this is not anywhere near a war. If anyone's ever had to fight, you know, this is not anything near a war. This is
Thank you. And actually, do we have any veterans in the house? Do we have any veterans on the panel? I'm not. Wait, do y'all have veterans?
Not anything that was sanctioned by the United States of America.
Fair enough. All right. Well,
the opposition, to quote Humphrey Bogart, the opposition paid more.
The opposition, fair enough. I got 2 vets. And, my dad and my brother, veterans of foreign wars. And I gotta say that, no, it's fucked up. My parents are Trump supporters, but they have not bought in. They don't buy into the fucking election conspiracy. Well, okay, my mom did, and it made me angry.
Well, half of them
even they don't buy into them, but maybe they do a little bit.
when anyone says
and we were telling her all this stuff, but now she's forgotten about it, so it's okay. But
when anyone says that, ask them, like, so every other election we had before that was bullshit? Ask them, like,
yeah, exactly. And,
so what's
my
the difference between that and this, you know?
And neither of them have bought into the COVID conspiracy bullshit, which is amazing because my dad is kind of like conspiracy theories are kind of his jam. Like he's got hardcore, like really good pattern recognition, and he takes it to a bad place sometimes. And he's filed so many Freedom of Information requests. It's not even funny. But it's like, imagine growing up with a guy who railed against the U.S. government and yet worked for the Federal Aviation Administration his entire life. So, like,
you brought up the COVID. You brought up the COVID conspiracies, but in Trump's speech that we were playing earlier, towards the end of it, he spends about 30 seconds going on about how bad the pandemic has been, how bad this virus has been over the year, when he spent most of the fucking year talking it down.
I had to take my headphones off. I had to take my headphones off. I can't stand that guy.
Every time he opens his mouth, a new fucking lie comes out.
Everybody has forgotten that in the week leading up to the election, Trump promised that after November 3rd, nobody would be talking about COVID.
Right.
Good job.
I wish some of his illusions were true. I wish
that one was true.
Yeah, exactly. I wish some of his,
that's the thing. He was trying to convince all of his supporters that the whole COVID thing was just a hoax to make him lose the election.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's some bullshit, and I'm literally typing, just for a little behind the scenes for everybody watching. I'm typing in the private chat, Jim, we may need a talking stick, as I'm talking over everyone. Just for me. Like,
Will can always mute you. No, I've got a question for you all, being that you're all American apart from me. Do you think that Trump's actions over this year were an attempt to lead your country, because he almost did it with the Black Lives Matters protests, lead the country down to the point where he could declare martial law and try and get out of having the election in the first
Absolutely.
place?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do.
I think that was a plan.
Yeah, I agree with Will, and I agree with Purple, yeah.
Because he wasn't happy being president because his power was limited.
No, he wanted to be king.
Stand to give up the power.
Look who he was. We all forget who he was buddying up to. Putin, Kim Jong-un. These are not people that we ever talk to for a reason.
Right. He wanted martial law to be declared because then he could do a heck of a lot more without having Congress approve it.
Yes, he could, and he loved some dictators. How long has? Like, I mean, oh my God, do you guys remember that press conference with Putin when he was basically, I mean, he might as well have been like, hey, baby, you want to come up tonight? Like, I mean, it was bad.
You want to go for drinks after this?
You didn't see as he walked in, he was wiping the cum away from his mouth?
Oh, yeah, he's the bottom of that. He's totally bottom for Putin.
Bottom. I remember like looking at the judge and being like, he is hard behind that podium. I fucking know it. We won't see it.
Trump can't take criticism. Trump can't take criticism from anyone.
No, every time somebody criticizes, he fires him.
The thing he wanted most was to have the power to jail any journalist who spoke against him.
That's so un-American. I don't even know where to begin.
Thank you.
Even know.
Like so many amendments.
And he's kept that up through his whole presidency. That even some laws that were rejected in the last several months had clauses in them to regulate reporters and stuff.
I have a question.
Like him wanting to shut down Twitter.
Is it illegal? I thought it was illegal to hire your family when you're the president. I thought it was illegal to have your family.
It basically is, yes.
Well, not now. It's not. It's one of many things that was never codified into law because they always assumed that nobody would be asshole enough to try it.
Exactly.
But they didn't count on Trump.
Our founding fathers who didn't have penicillin were optimistic enough to think, oh no gentleman would ever do that.
It's just every time he breaks the law, I'm like, hey,
come on, Ben Franklin, really? You're not gonna put in a clause somewhere about that?
All of that is on the Republican Party. They've had ample opportunity to regulate this guy, to get rid of him from the impeachment. Would be the big one with the high crimes and misdemeanors. But there's so many things that they could have gone after him on during his presidency that they just didn't. That they just looked the other way. That they themselves decided it was okay to break the Constitution.
And the reason I bring this up is because every time Barack Obama coughed in the wrong direction, there was an inquiry. Or Michelle Obama showed her shoulders and people freaked out.
How dare you be
scammer?
Well, he did. To give them some credit, Obama did wear that tan suit.
Hi, Kitty.
I'm here without makeup on, so
And the real Kitty.
on the stream tonight.
Beautiful.
We're having a rant.
You're still a babe.
We're going off about the trash fire that is our country.
Oh, don't get me started about that, gods. I've been ranting and raving about it all day. Like, 25th Amendment is too good for him. He needs to be impeached.
Yes, he does.
Now, because then he can never hold public office again. This man cannot be allowed to hold power in the United States.
So I'm gonna ask the question again.
Use the 25th Amendment.
We're all talking over each other. Calm down.
No, so I'm gonna ask this question again. Has anyone ever in their lifetime seen a worse president in America, at least?
No.
No, of
Not
course
in my
not.
lifetime.
Pretty bad.
Have you ever had a worse president? That's an even bigger question.
There hasn't been a
George
worse
Bush
president
tried.
in our history.
George Bush tried, but he
He gets paid for effort for being the worst.
W tried, and now I'm nostalgic.
No, but the thing is,
I know, right? I said the same thing, Julie.
But the thing is, W will he would shake your hand, Julie. He would shake your. He's a personable person. You know, he's not.
W. Bush was bad because he was a dope.
With me. That I mean, honestly, like that's where that guy's at. Like he, my mom at the time when I was so angry and I was so, I was younger, I was more reactive to all things political. And my mom was a big, Trump fan. Or I'm sorry, W fan. And she would tell me these stories about him, like things about like him and his wife, like calling, families of people who lost their sons or daughters in combat in the wars that he started.
Absolutely.
And I was like, well, that's awesome that they did that, but he still started the wars that led to the deaths of the people. But anyway, whatever. But he has a heart, that one.
Yeah.
He's an idiot, but he has a heart.
And he wouldn't have incited violence and at the fucking count he wouldn't have incited a riot. That has to be count as treason. Surely.
It is. It is. And it's beyond the pale. It's treason. It's definitely sedition.
Definitely sedition.
Sorry, is that the wrong word?
Insurrection, as I called this stream.
Sedition and insurrection is the right word. And I just want to say that y'all saw the photo of the man with his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk, right? See that?
Yes.
Yeah, that motherfucker claims to be a Memphis fireman. My city. My patch.
Do you know?
Motherfucker said, "I'm a Memphis firefighter."
They have tracked him down.
Come on home, baby.
Yeah, they have tracked him down, and he now claims that he was just looking for a bathroom.
What, dressed like that? He was looking for a bathroom.
I don't think a lot of people realize, as somebody whose lineage is from the South, at least on my dad's side, I always laugh because in my family had 20-something people fight for the Confederacy. A man walking through a Capitol building with a Confederate flag is a declaration of war.
It is. It absolutely is. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you so much.
In this country, you're not allowed to celebrate second place.
There was so much, like we were talking earlier about some of the other race, the anti-Semitic stuff. That there was so much racist imagery. I'm sorry, I'm very upset.
And the 50-foot cross. They put a 50-foot cross up there. It was, all that Jesus bullshit they had out there. It was
the Trump flag with two crossed freaking rifles. What is that?
I have to share this if nobody's seen it because I saw it earlier and it fits in with what Julie was talking about earlier. So for the chat.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, that's real.
What is that guy even wearing? Here's the thing. Like, if you see a guy in a buffalo headdress, which that kind of looks like,
yeah,
I want to bring this guy up so bad.
Except this thing is a mixed metaphor. It wasn't the guy
of a First Nations tribe, right? You would expect that, but Ox, anybody in the chat who happens to be Native American, please let me know. That motherfucker looked real fucking white to me. I don't know about y'all. But
can we make it very clear that this cartoon is completely dead nuts inaccurate, and is mixing metaphors? The guy who put his feet up on the desk was not the crazy guy with his face all painted and shit.
No,
it wasn't.
Okay, and for them to mix a metaphor, they dilute the message and they make it sound foolish. Don't promote that cartoon anymore.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point.
I
do need to make a factual correction there, Will. Will was talking about the cross, and the one with them pulling the big cross up with ropes, that was not at the federal capitol. That was at the Michigan State Capitol. That was going on at the same time.
Okay.
So people have thrown that image into the mix, but that was a different protest.
I had to take blood pressure medication after I saw that.
But, well, what was actually worse was at the federal capitol, they did build a gallows.
Oh, Jesus.
So you saw the thing of the guy inside the building with the handful of zip ties like he was going to take hostages.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were going to drag him out to the gallows.
Okay.
Apparently any of the congressmen who they thought were traitors to Trump.
So
I
say this.
I just progressed to my Catholic health. What the fuck?
I quit watching it after a while. I couldn't stop.
Well, that certainly would have triggered the war.
But yeah, I mean, I watched. I was watching this stuff happening, and but it was over fairly quickly. The weirdest part, the most surreal part for me, was when these motherfuckers are walking through the statue gallery that leads onto the floor, and Junk Shop and I saw this after the fact because we were watching the count of the electoral.
Have we got that
vote.
video, Julie?
Yeah.
That link to me?
I don't know. It may not be. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I mean, I just said yeah, and I was like,
have a quick look.
Look, but yeah, so Junk Shop and I were just watching the count of the electoral votes because we were like, okay, we know that there's a whole conspiracy theory about how the thing was rigged. It wasn't. We all know that, but let's watch it, and just check it out. And then in a very boring thing, suddenly Nancy Pelosi was banging her gavel and saying there will be order on the floor, and then suddenly she and everyone else was whisked away because stuff was happening, and then we had to go to the news to find out what the fuck was going on, and it was yeah. So that was our experience, like in real time, with this. Yeah, and the videos I sent you, they aren't. No, those are actually like just more cogent information. They aren't like the immediate stuff. Because I wanted to make sure that that I wasn't. What am I trying to say? That I wasn't giving you any false information, Jen. So yeah. So it's stuff
okay.
that
well, here's one of them anyway.
By the way, there were some elected representatives, like state representatives and the like, that were actually part of the throng of Trump supporters that stormed the Capitol. I linked an article here in the private chat.
She's right. No, she is absolutely right.
So I have got it muted, but we'll just watch some of the footage of them panicking and leaving. And
any elected representative who was identified in that crowd should be removed from office immediately.
Absolutely. But who has responsibility for that? Their constituents do. And their constituents knew the person that they were putting into office. They're not going to do anything about it.
The woman on the edge. Oh shit, she's gone.
Sorry,
anyway,
you want me to go back? Yeah.
Oh no, it's fine. It's just the woman in red on the edge there. She was praying to Jesus Christ to keep them all safe. By the way, like, the woman in red at the very end. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
You know, I don't think people realize that Jesus doesn't come with shields.
Nope.
No.
Praying is not going to stop a bullet. I'm sorry. Kinetic energy.
Sure doesn't stop COVID from getting into people, which is like believing in Jesus.
Absolutely.
You know, Will, they made that linen very, very thick back then.
This is the guy you were talking about, isn't it?
I need to check some of that out.
Right, that's the correct guy.
Yeah, that's the guy who says he's from Memphis, Tennessee, and is a Memphis firefighter. And if he is, he needs to be fucking fired right now, and he needs to be arrested if he hasn't been already.
You know,
well, and if you go back a bit, that guy that was like hanging by one hand.
Mm-hmm.
Him. He's been identified as coming from Boise, Idaho, and his statement is that he just got caught up in the moment. Now look at him. He's dressed in better riot gear than the police officers.
Absolutely.
And he traveled more than 1,000 miles to get there.
Yeah, I just got caught up in the moment. 3 days ago.
Like 1,600, 2,000 miles. Yeah, he was planned.
Yeah, and I would walk, for something that isn't planned. That's some bullshit. That is a bullshit defense.
I saw one photo of one of the guys in, BDUs essentially, and he had a firearm on his hip and a handful of zip ties. I'm sorry, you don't bring a firearm and zip ties unless you're planning to take fucking hostages.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
There is no other reason to have those when you're sieging the Capitol building.
And full body armor.
Yeah.
So, how is this not sedition? How is this not treason?
It is.
They honestly
really
need to be executed. Like, I have very mixed feelings about the death penalty, but I'm sorry. Like, by the law of our Constitution, treasoners, and seditioners, they're
honestly, I say.
Having said that, I do feel sorry for the woman who was shot and killed. But
I do.
You put yourself in the line of fire by joining this thing. You knew what you were doing.
I don't feel sorry for any of them.
I'm telling you.
The guy tasered himself, gave himself a heart attack. Poetic justice.
Play stupid games.
I'm
with B.
Yeah.
I honestly, I have a lot of empathy for people, but for good people. These are not good people.
Absolutely.
And when it comes down to it, I am not going to waste any of my time or emotional energy on people that wanted to overthrow our fucking Constitution and our government.
And this woman had a long personal history of being one of the more insane Trumpians and promoting QAnon and all kinds of lunacy.
I'm sorry,
I don't care if she was in the Air Force. She was a fucking nutcase. She was doing something illegal. Probably shouldn't have been shot, but I'm not going to feel bad that she was shot.
Nope, I don't feel bad for her.
Okay, Julie's waiting. And I got something to say.
I was trying to be polite because I know I tend to dominate conversations, and I love everything that everyone just said. I do feel kind of bad for her because I think she was the victim of bad ideas, and I think she got caught up.
I feel sorry for her family.
Okay, I'm saying this as like.
Here's the thing: my mom is a Trump supporter. She is a hardcore Trump supporter, and she doesn't deserve to die for that. Now she was not in D.C.
No,
I agree with you,
honey.
But I live in a Trump neighborhood.
Your mom didn't try to siege the Capitol.
Exactly.
The difference is, it's not all Trump supporters deserve to die. It's if you literally commit seditious and treasonous acts. I'm sorry, our Constitution is clear.
Yeah, you have a good point there, absolutely, and I am absolutely against state-sanctioned murder. I'm against the death penalty, but I understand absolutely, Kitty, where you're coming from. This is one of those moments where I have to really go inward and think, and it's going to be hard.
I think what's happening too is that these people, we need to put the blame on the people that actually did the action instead of saying, oh, it's the alt-right, or we have physical people that we can see that actually did something instead of making them a mythical creature and making them bigger than what they are. They fucked up. They need to pay for it.
Well, and
yeah, like anyone else. If, like I said earlier, if I didn't pay for my car and I go drive around on the freeway and get pulled over, they're gonna take my car.
Yeah. I saw the video of where that woman was shot, and the security guards were barricading the door, and they were shouting, "Get back, get back!" And most of the crowd was starting to fall back, and she charged the door.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she really
was up over the door.
This is in America. In America, if you run into a cop, you're gonna get killed. I live in LA. It is known. If you even reach for your cell phone, you're done.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say, Will. You know, they ought to be glad that the cops didn't mow them all down.
Right?
If it happened here, they would have.
I was expecting that, honestly.
Yeah, you can't do that. They easily could have mowed them down, and they wouldn't have got in trouble at all.
I agree with you, B. I wondered why they didn't.
They backed off and just said, okay, you know.
And let them in the building.
Because, you know, if they didn't back off, that would have been a lot more ugly than what it was.
True.
Well,
like, I wouldn't go for the mandatory death sentence for all of them, but what I'm saying is our Constitution is clear.
Yeah,
if they are found guilty of sedition and treason, it's written in black and white on that document. Now, if you want to put them in prison forever, I'm okay with that. Like me, like I said, I have mixed feelings on the death penalty. Like, I don't like the idea of state-sponsored murder, especially when, you know, there are innocent people on death row. But if you've got a guy that you know did it, like Dylan Roof, he was caught at the scene of the crime, and they're mowing down all those people, I am not going to lose any sleep if you want to fucking remove him from planet Earth.
I have a hard time with that too, Kitty, because my thought process is you have a mad dog, you kill it, right?
I'm a super lefty, and I believe in the death penalty.
Like, no, I don't want to.
Okay, I don't believe in the death penalty for anyone, but I'm quite okay with locking somebody in a cell and throwing away the key.
Well,
but that gets expensive. Especially when
anyone
you
who was
on
inside
video
the
doing
building,
it costs more to
I didn't say
commit
you had
somebody
to feed
to
them.
execution. It costs more.
The death penalty does cost more than keeping them alive.
Anyone who was inside the Capitol building.
Thank you. I guess
for them
to say what I
to
wanted
be
to say.
inside the building, they had breached
over one another
3
here.
levels
Come
of
on.
securities with armed guards at every level.
Absolutely. What were you going to say, Jenny?
No, nothing. It's past.
God damn it, Jenny! No, it's not past.
I'm sorry, Jenny.
It's more.
No, it's past. Just go on.
It's a Royal Rumble in here. Sorry.
I'm so sorry, Jenny. I'm not.
Emotions are high with everybody, and we're all trying to talk at the same time, and we probably should calm down a little bit.
We should try not to talk. We should try not to talk when somebody's clearly halfway into a sentence.
Yeah, there is lag though between us all.
Sorry.
I agree.
I think Jeff should say something.
I think Jeff should say something, yeah, because he hasn't said anything. Yeah. Come on, Jeff.
Good to see you, Jeff.
Hi. I was going to say something a few minutes ago. Yeah, I was going to say something a few minutes ago that there's that clip that's gone around the internet, isn't it? That woman who got maced. I'm like, you just admitted to trying to start an act of revolution, I believe her words were. And you complaining about getting maced? That's like
That's a complete indictment on the American school system right there.
Yeah.
I know. That woman was just ridiculous. I split like that
already. It's the first week, but she wins it.
What were you saying, Jenny? What'd you say, Jenny?
Go on.
No, I wanted to hear what you were saying.
No, too late.
God damn it. I'm sorry.
Every time I'm one of those people, like, when I hear them speak, it is an indictment on the school system here.
Yeah, it is. This is what comes of no critical thinking, and of not having a proper grasp of reality, and not being able to recognize when someone is fucking snowballing you with bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the lady that Jeff is referring to.
I have the clip ready if I was going to put it up. So.
Oh, sorry.
And then they said, well, why are you here? And she said, well, to charge the Capitol building because we have to.
Let's play it. Let's play it. It's got to be played.
The clip.
Ma'am, what happened to you?
I got maced.
You got maced.
By the police.
And what happened? You were trying to go inside the Capitol?
Yeah, I made it like a foot inside, and they pushed me out, and they maced me.
What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Elizabeth. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee.
And why did you want to go in?
We're storming the Capitol. It's a revolution.
Thank you.
200 of us. It's a revolution.
No, it's not. No.
It's a revolution. You guys can't fight back.
From my state,
They maced me while I was trying to storm the Capitol.
They didn't tell me that I could die.
She's from my state. She's one of like the 3 main cities that we have here. She's from Knoxville. Like what?
How did you lose your hand while I was picking someone's pocket? Please feel sorry for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like running a red light and then a big truck hits you and tears you up, and then you're like, I was only running a red light. Why
It's by her own words.
Has anyone else noticed that virtually everyone identified in this has been from a southern state?
Oh my God, I'm so shocked right now.
People around here got to go to work. They got to go to work around here.
I
got things to do.
I apologize. I'm sorry. I don't know what the fuck our problem is. They're myriad, actually. I do know several of them, but yeah, I'm sorry.
I know there's something really cool about a lot of the footage, though. I mean, most of these people from southern states where they refused to wear a mask because of COVID, but they all wore a fucking mask when they stormed the Capitol, didn't they?
That's another
everybody
thing.
take a moment to read what Amiga wrote.
Pretty much.
What did Amiga know?
Balaclavas or something.
Treason has no... Oh, treason does not have a death penalty, but sedition does not. You know what? I'm thinking of the military. I grew up with a Nom parent, and so I was always told that sedition was people were shot on sight. But my dad was probably talking about the 17 years he spent in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos.
Laws change in a war zone. Laws do change in a war zone.
They didn't all wear
There's legal
masks.
precedent to war. There are laws to war.
Oh yeah,
they can't just rules of engagement exist. They are.
No,
real.
I agree. I was raised by a hillbilly from Georgia.
The rules of engagement allowed that woman to get maced.
Exactly. But like I said earlier, if you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. This is nothing new. Like if you start a fight, don't be shocked when someone punches you in the mouth. This is nothing new. I mean, this is what I don't understand. People act like they're not subject to the same laws as the rest of us. That I don't understand. Someone's gonna have to explain that.
Well, they have a thing with limit setting. They need to know that there's just you can really push it, but there's that line that if you do cross it,
you know what? I was raised with boundaries, and I have boundaries, so I don't know.
Talking of people being raised a certain way, do you think Trump was ever told no as he was growing up?
Julie got her hand up again.
Kitty, do you have something to say?
I broke it. Kitty goes.
Actually, Julie was had her hand raised first.
I did, but then I broke the. I just had a question. I know that sedition carries a fine, and I only learned this yesterday. So, I heard on CNN and I think NBC as well that sedition carries a fine, and this is and on opening arguments. Yes. Alexander Hamilton. Okay, boom. Sedition carries 20 years in jail and a fine. Treason, I thought, was still a capital offense.
Me too.
And someone said it was not, so I'm a bit surprised by that, and I understand.
Amiga nuts looked it up.
Yeah, Amiga changed it and said no.
Because some states are more advanced than other states. We definitely have the death penalty here in Tennessee, unfortunately. But honestly, with treason,
treason is not a state offense. Treason would be a federal.
Yeah, that's
well,
what,
I think that Will misread that. That what Amiga type said that treason has the death penalty.
Yes.
Oh,
okay. Because we treated the Rosenberg.
And sedition does not, right?
Yeah.
And with that, if you want to go to your urban your home dictionary, they will give you a definition of treason and they'll give you a definition of sedition. You'll see that there's differences in them, but when you go into the law, there are very specific definitions for what qualifies as treason, and how we commonly use it as the concept that we're going against our government is not correct. There are specific things you have to do to be guilty of treason.
And I'm not calling for all these people to be shot. I think they should at least be arrested or held accountable for their actions like everybody else. That's
Do you know how many people were there yesterday?
14,000 people were arrested during Black Lives Matter protests.
I didn't ask that. How many people were there yesterday?
I have no idea, Jenny.
It filled the entire goddamn reflective pool area. Okay? It was as big as the crowds that Obama had for inauguration. It was massive. There was nothing the Capitol Police were going to be able to do to control this mob.
I'm right there with you.
At the end of his term as president, Donald Trump gets a better crowd than he did at the beginning.
Yes,
yeah.
and if the Capitol
with
Police
fire
did
and
open fire,
with fire,
they'd get through one cliff, and then they would have been murdered by the crowd.
I agree.
Okay.
I was counting how many guns. I was like, okay, if you have this amount of guns and this many clips, you won't last very long.
Had a hand up for a while, so Kitty.
No, yeah, about that, honestly, we've got lots of video and we could use facial recognition to try to track them down, at least the ones that breached the Capitol. I don't care about the people that were staying in the mall area, that are just standing there protesting. That is their right as an American under the First Amendment. I'm fine with them protesting, saying, we believe this was stolen. It's stupid and it's wrong, but they have a right to say that.
Absolutely.
It's the ones that actually breached the barricades and actually, stormed the Capitol building. But the point that I wanted to bring up earlier is you notice that there is a correlation between people who are religious, especially Christian, and QAnon believers and Trump supporters. Like the fact that, and I think it comes down to fantastical thinking. You are required to, maintain fantastical thinking in, a God and in your religion. Yeah. And it's not that hard for you to believe other things without evidence. And that just got fed into like a monstrous, cancerous beast. And
which is exactly how cults work.
It's that same thing that if somebody buys into one conspiracy, they're more likely to buy into several others.
We examined this whole thing in the discussion of flat earthers and everything, and what we pretty much came up with is that all Trump people are not flat earthers, but all flat earthers are Trump people. and what you find when you look at it is that the flat earther is like one of the key conspiracy theories that if they buy into that one, they buy into all of them.
Yeah, they're pretty much into anything.
And what do you get when you have that? Then you have QAnon.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You have weak-minded people.
And when you have QAnon, you have people that actually believe everything that is fictionally written on the internet to be absolutely true. Even though one of their followers tried to go shoot up the pizza place and found that it doesn't even have a basement.
That was so sad.
But that didn't stop them from still thinking it.
These people are so deeply involved with delusion and magical thinking that there's going to be no getting them out of it. This is not going to end because we stand up and say, oh, you guys got to quit protesting like this.
And I want everyone, it's amazing how in America we brush over how someone walked into a room and started shooting. I've been in a situation like that. It is life-changing when someone walks in a room and starts letting off shots, or if someone even pulls a gun on you. You kind of find out who you are at moments like that. So when people are screaming for civil war, I don't think people realize what it really entails.
No, they have no idea. They one of the gentlemen, fuck me. One of the people, not a gentleman.
You're way too nice.
A person of the male persuasion happened to be walking past a reporter who, for either NBC or CNN. I was flipping back between the two last night, so I honestly can't remember. Off the record said, off, whatever, said to that person, if they don't hear our voices today, they will hear our muskets tomorrow.
Ooh.
And it's like, you're invoking muskets? Do you have any idea how those things work? Also, actually, it's kind of an apt analogy because
it's kind of an expression.
Yeah,
you know?
Your AR-15 or your Kalashnikov is about as useless against, again, murder drones.
Okay, now see, that's another thing. They're not going to be using any predators and their ability to shoot from 30,000 feet and 150 miles away on citizens. Okay, there's levels of engagement. Okay,
well, no,
they're not going to go to a civil protest, even if it gets violent, and start taking them out by the city block.
We're nowhere near there. We're nowhere near there in any way, shape, or form.
No, and when I saw a text last night, and I know I went a little off on my my patron only stream, and I'm sorry, patrons, I was really scared and freaked out. But yeah, like last night, one of the things that I saw was I was modding for Dave's channel, Critical Cripples channel, and someone said the second Civil War starts today. And I was just remove comment. Like, I just deleted that comment.
Yeah, but that's another thing. You can't fight a civil war from Twitter and Facebook.
No.
A lot of these people are paper. A lot of and I say this because I've been through a few things in my life. People actually have to physically do what they're saying. You know, it takes a lot. What did Mike Tyson say? Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
You guys, that line was crossed yesterday.
Armchair warriors.
This is no longer an armchair fight. It crossed the line yesterday.
It did. It left the Twitter sphere and the Facebook isms, and it became very real with guns and violence.
I guess I'm desensitized. I guess I'm really desensitized because I don't think that we're even on the same street as a civil war yet. That's just maybe that's me.
Yeah. The war revolution started with one guy, Crispus Attucks.
I agree.
One guy.
Yeah, and also the people who organized this protest have already been making statements that they're going to be back on the 19th because they don't want to see Biden sworn in.
Well,
they're going to have a lot of security for the inauguration.
This is
Jyuni's been trying to say something for a while now too.
Sorry, I just in the chat, Divine Disbelief shared the U.S. Code on treason. 18 U.S. Code, Section 2381, treason. Owing allegiance to the United States levies anyone owing allegiance to the United States levies war against them or adheres to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort within the United States or elsewhere, is guilty of treason. They owe allegiance to the United States as citizens, and as Godless Sewing mentioned earlier, flying the Confederate flag inside the Capitol, removing the American flag and replacing it with a Trump flag.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, like that is
that's an act of war.
And
absolutely,
I would say it is treason.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely, and I don't think people realize how big of a deal that was.
Well, and I agree, Kitty, with what you were saying earlier, that the people who were, just out there on the plaza, just protesting, they have a right to do that.
Yes.
I think anyone who actually entered the building needs to be arrested and charged.
Yes, sir.
There were people that they interviewed who stayed on the plaza, who were wise enough to say, don't these people, speaking of their own people who went in, don't these people realize that they are being used? That they are pawns? They don't. Pawns in this?
Jyuni, do you have something to say?
That there's a lot of people out there who did not agree with what happened yesterday.
Jyuni, are you about to take off?
Yeah, unfortunately. I had to apologize to everybody. I'm gonna tuck in my daughter in, and
no
I gotta wake up early so I can line up for the Moderna.
Yeah, take care of yourself and your family.
Absolutely.
Take care of you.
Bye-bye.
Well.
Everyone go sub to Jyuni. She's absolutely amazing. Got brilliant content and
Thank you so much.
Special love and kisses from online aunties and uncles up in here. Everybody in between, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye,
and then, even though that,
Thank you, Megan.
with all this being said, you know, my fear is that even if anybody goes to prison for this, Trump will pardon maybe in a blanket term for all of them, and that's the scary part. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens, really. And let's see what else before I go. Oh, well, I do have a clip. Maybe hopefully I can share, but maybe this is an appropriate
you
thing
can share
for...
it if you want, and we can.
We won't judge you.
I remember when this happened.
I do too.
Can't hear it. Oh, that idiot. I don't want to hear it.
Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon telling Trump he's fired.
Actually, on that note, I did actually see was it wrestler Mick Foley actually tweeted at Vince McMahon, "Hey, do you want to throw this sorry son of a bitch out of our Hall of Fame?"
Donald Trump is just I can't say it. I would offend too many people. I know. I just can't say it.
No, he's a horrible fucking cunt of a person. He is absolutely, and that's actually an insult to cunts, by the way. He's a malignant narcissist who only cares about himself and his own self-image and doesn't give a shit about anyone, including the people who follow him so strongly and so desperately. And the sad thing is, they really do. I was listening to a young man who got interviewed by reporters, gave his full name. He'll be arrested. He admitted to going into the Capitol building, and he caught the woman who was shot, and blood coming. And he described. I'm sorry, trigger warning, violence, blood. He described blood coming out of her mouth. And he said then she started moving real weird, was how he put it. He was a very young man. He was in his very early 20s, maybe. And he said, but this has to stop. We can't have an election stolen. We have to stop this. You could see the earnestness and the sincerity. Like, he really believed.
They do.
Yeah.
They truly believe it.
They drink the Kool-Aid or flavor.
Oh yeah, they charge a gallon each.
That's why I'm so angry. I'm not angry at them because it was 4 of them who died yesterday.
Yeah.
That is horrible. That's sad. That's 4 families that have lost someone.
I believe that 2, maybe 3 of those people were police officers.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. Okay. I apologize.
And a lot of police officers were injured, so blue lives only matter some of the time.
Yeah. Jenny, 2 of them were protesters that stormed it. The other 2, I hadn't found out about, so I guess the other 2 were the police officers.
And one of the most, the worst disconnect moments I saw in that was somebody carrying a thin blue line flag charging a police officer.
Because it's a hate group. It was started to be anti-Black Lives Matter. That's what Blue Lives Matter. All those patches, all that stuff popped up right after Black Lives Matter popped off. You know?
Yeah, it was all the reaction to the Black Lives Matter.
Especially where I live, you see those on every truck. They're on every other truck around here.
If y'all want to hear about the early moments of that in Memphis, Tennessee, ask Junk Shop Library about it, because oh goodness, do they have some stories they can tell you about the Blue Lives Matter shit. But anyway, it was just. I really feel badly. I generally do. I honestly do. I feel badly for these people because they have been duped, and they've been duped by this. And I don't think they're. I mean, like I said, this young man, like, he was incredibly earnest. He thought he was doing the right thing. He thought he was saving our democracy when what he was actually doing was completely fucking it up. And realize it. That's what's horrible. And
I don't feel sorry for brown shirts. If you go on the opposite side, I don't feel sorry for you.
And of the 4 people who died, aside from the one woman who was shot, the other 3, they said it was due to medical emergencies.
Yeah,
it wasn't directly a result of the violence.
He shouldn't have even been climbing.
Yeah, because when the adrenaline kicks out, the heart problem kicks in, is what happens.
Exactly.
Well, that one guy tasered himself, and that's how he died from.
That's
having owned a taser.
That shot. Yeah,
it is easy to tase yourself. I own a taser.
That is one thing I've never. No, I'm teasing.
Every time I've lived in an area where I should own a taser, I move.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, that's assuming you can afford to do that.
Exactly.
Also fair.
I lived in downtown LA when I was in my 20s.
That's why I built out my own house. I got sick of all the BS. I can move whatever time I want. Just
there you go.
Pull away.
Well, I
wish. I live in Yuppieville. I wish I could just leave.
Yeah, I thought this was a good place.
So.
Depends on how bad you want it, I guess.
Because the rent was a lot cheaper here. Apparently, the reason the rent is cheaper here is this is like a heavily Republican city in a mostly blue state.
That's like my town too.
It's funny that you say. Yeah, it's funny that you say that. Yeah, Will Purple. Like it's interesting because we're all living in kind of similar situations. Like the cost of living in Memphis is incredibly low, and it's low to the point where it's really hard to get out. Like it's very difficult to move anywhere else, and that's even if you don't have extensive family ties here, which I do.
I have like high property value. I want to get the property value from my house. That's the only reason I really haven't moved.
I rent. I just want to be able to like have a job, pay that rent, and be here for my parents. And that may or may not. You know what? Whoa! I digress. Let's stay on topic. Okay.
Well, let's look to the future. We're going to go back to topic. Let's look to the 20th of January and beyond. Is Biden being inaugurated really going to make that much difference? I mean, your country is already divided. I don't think Trump's going to shut up, even when he hasn't got the pedestal of the presidency underneath him.
No, he won't.
Trump will not shut up.
And this divisiveness and this split within the Republican Party is going to be there for a long time.
Yeah,
no, there's not going to be any sudden changes. This is going to take, like I say, at least a decade.
Oh yeah.
Kitty's got her hand up, so I'm going to mute.
No, it's fine.
I think what we're seeing. Go ahead.
Go, Kitty.
No, you can go ahead. You got to talk less than me, so you go ahead.
Go, Jen.
I think what we're seeing right now with the mass resignations that are happening in the Trump administration are not so much rats trying to jump from a burning ship, although there's certainly some of that involved. I think it's the beginning of the division between the old school Republican conservatives and the new school lunatics.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of that.
They're starting to declare themselves that I'm not nuts like these fuckers, and that's why I'm getting out.
But I think there is also a lot of them who are just trying to get out of there so they won't have accountability if a vote on the 25th Amendment or impeachment comes up. I
agree. And that goes back to a lot of these people do not know how to take personal responsibility. They don't know how to stand up and be like, I'm wrong, I'm on the wrong side. It takes a big person to be able to admit they're wrong. So I just don't see it.
I think that it's going to be an issue moving forward, and this divide could ultimately be the downfall of the Republican Party as we know it. And ultimately, I think that it is very important that rather than the 25th Amendment, instead we go through with impeachment of the president, because that strips him of all of the perks of being president, and it makes sure he can never hold public office again, not even city dog catcher. And
right. That's how the law reads.
Sorry.
Social media companies are starting to suspend and ban his account. I think that noon on January 20th, he's not going to have a social media presence anymore because it was the fact that he was president that gave him that immunity, so to speak, where he got away with doing things that any other person, one offense like what he had done, and boom, they're off the platform forever. And it's not like he'd be able to start a new Twitter account because, he'd want to be verified. So because that check mark is a vanity thing that proves that you are who you say you are. So he's going to try to get verified and they'll be like, nah, bitch, you can't have a Twitter, and so he might still do the rallies, but if he no longer has Secret Service protection because he was impeached and removed, then
I'll be right back.
I don't know that he would do the
That's
rally.
my other thing. I don't want to pay for protection for him for the rest of his life.
You don't have a choice.
And what Kitty is saying about impeachment, if he is impeached at this point, and this is very important, it has to be now. If he is impeached and removed from convicted, because he was impeached before, just like Clinton was, but he wasn't found guilty because they wouldn't let anyone testify. We all know. But if he's impeached now and removed from office, and then he can, the big penalty that Kitty was pointing out is he can never again run for public office. And that is so important because if y'all remember Tricky Dick Nixon, he ran and was elected once for 4 years, lost, and then ran again later, and then was almost impeached. And even fucking Nixon had the grace to say, to resign when impeachment was in the offing. How sad is it when you have the leader of the so-called free world go, no, I'm just going to stay here because
it's just
Nixon did not resign because he had dignity. Nixon resigned because he was being pounded out from every angle. I was there. I lived that.
Nixon saw resignation as his only way out without going to prison.
Yeah,
and rightfully so. But I will say he did. Didn't he refuse the next president that came in offered
Gerald
him
Ford.
Go ahead.
The next president was Gerald Ford.
Yeah, Ford didn't Ford offer him a pardon, and didn't Nixon say no?
No,
he gave
took
it to
the
him.
pardon. That was part of the agreement.
Nixon was never charged with anything to be pardoned over.
Yeah, but I believe that he was given a informal pardon anyway, wasn't he, Jen?
Yeah, it's still there on the
Ford
record.
pardoned Nixon. Nathaniel said it in the chat.
So in America, have we ever put a head of state in prison? In the history of our country, have we ever?
I don't know, man. I mean,
No,
even the union together with slavery or without, just whatever keeps it together. I don't care.
Lone Wanderer just typed in the chat, only 3 U.S. presidents have been formally impeached by Congress: Andrew Jackson, Bill Clinton, and Donald Trump.
Yep.
So far, no president has ever been removed from office through impeachment.
There you go.
But you can impeach him after. You can impeach and convict him after he leaves office.
Yeah.
That's why we're all crossing our fingers about the Southern District of New York.
Yeah, they can.
Yes.
And to keep him from holding
They can
office.
impeach him after.
Yeah, and Lone Wanderer actually just became a citizen. She just passed her citizenship test.
Awesome.
She knows her shit right now.
She probably knows more than me.
Lone Wanderer, your link to the chat is actually in Twitter, Lone Wanderer.
Yeah, and actually, even before everything that happened at the Capitol, I think that was part of the Democrats' plan. That I think they were waiting for Trump to be out of office to impeach him. Well, not so much for him to be out of office, but just for Biden to be in office so that he couldn't be pardoned after they impeached him. Yeah. Otherwise, Pence would have just pardoned him.
That's an intriguing notion, but I disagree. I think we've been fighting as a party against him for a long time, and it's been very much of a, what the fuck is it going to take for everyone to wake up and realize this is some serious shit? And apparently it took him inciting a riot to, storm the Capitol building during the college votes.
Yeah, Jeff.
Count.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I much sooner, for the reasons that have been pointed out already, that he needs to be impeached because we do not need him near any public office ever again. Also, perhaps that that pension he gets or whatever for being an ex-president, I'd sooner not have him have that either.
Thank you.
I think
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I think ultimately, it really comes down to it. Trump is really is a symptom of the problem in America. He's not necessarily the root of the problem. America is so. He's a culmination of a long time of, whether it be far right religious fundamentalism growing, conspiratorial thinking, all that sort of stuff, lack of critical thinking being taught in schools, all these things you bring up. He is the culmination of that. But I'd say he is the symptom of the problem. He's not the problem itself. But this is what you end up with.
I agree.
Yeah, these people and these attitudes were always there. He just told them it was okay to be public about it.
Well, it's not even that. I mean, it's also the continued class warfare. I mean, the gap between the haves and the have-nots is steadily growing because the Republicans, they don't want to govern. They just care about passing tax cuts for the corporations and the wealthy. So people are struggling, and you've got people working full-time jobs that still qualify for fucking food stamps.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, if you put in an honest day's work, if you work full time, you should have a comfortable life. I believe it was FDR that said, any company that, is unwilling to pay a living wage should not be doing business in the United States. And by living wage, he means a comfortable existence. And he said this. But then again, FDR was our best
everybody hates about Bill Gates. Bill Gates actually reiterated that as well, that if you're running a business and you're not paying your people a decent wage, you're an asshole.
Yeah, and honestly, I gotta say, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation gave a lot of money to the public education system in Tennessee, and I had some colleagues at the time when I was an adjunct professor who went to different high schools to attempt to, they were being paid essentially through that foundation to attempt to turn kids on to reading and turn them on to new ideas and things like that. And these were some, I hate to, I don't like to say bad things about my city, but I mean, these were kids who anyway, they were not getting the education they needed. They couldn't spell. They were like 18, couldn't spell, were barely literate, that kind of shit. The shit that should not happen, right? In a first world nation. So they went in and tried, and then later I had students telling me, "Oh yeah, I remember that. Our English teacher, who'd been our English teacher for 4 years, was so mad about that she had a garbage can right outside the library, so when we picked up our free books, we could just throw them into the garbage can." And that happened here. So yeah, so Bill and Melinda Gates, they're amazing, and they have tried a lot, but this is an example of where you can't just throw money at a problem. You also have to kind of change the culture, because what was happening is these teachers who had been in it, like deep in it for so long, and then they were told, "Oh, hey, these white people are going to come and save you," and they were naturally upset about that, and it makes sense. It does make sense. It doesn't make sense that they had the kids throw the fucking books away. That's insane. But it does make sense that they were upset that we were like, "Oh no, we're going to come in and fix it. It'll be fine."
Part of the problem for us as a Western society is that, as much as we want it to, capitalism does not work. It really doesn't. All you're doing is putting more money into rich people's pockets and taking it away from poorer people all the time because poorer people have to spend all their money just to survive, and rich people can sit on their asses and do fuck all.
And because of that, what we know as the West is completely dying.
It is.
If I said this yesterday. If you look at a place like Africa, they're developing faster than America right now. India, they're developing faster than America right now. China, so we're going to be kind of a footnote. What we consider Western culture 100 years from now.
The USA now spends less per capita on research and development than a lot of third world countries do. That is dreadful. That is fucking dreadful.
Yeah. I just want to say real quick, I'm going to go, but real quick, let me just say a couple things. One, I think the biggest problem we have in the United States is we have such divided parties. No one can agree. That shit, it needs to be gone because we go from a president that's a Democrat and everything's going good this way, and then we get the Republican, everything's going good this way, and then they spend 4 years undoing what the other guy did, and there's no advancement.
Yeah, more parties.
Number two, I think Trump is more of a distraction than anything. I think he's a distraction so they can try to do shit when we're not looking, because everybody's talking about Trump and nobody's talking about the government. So that's my 2 thoughts on that. I love all of you beautiful people.
Love you too,
Have a great night.
Very nice meeting you, BD.
See ya, BD.
See you guys later.
Love you. Big hugs.
Kitty.
Yeah.
Kitty's had her head up for a while.
Okay, so no, it's fine. Like, I'm trying to be patient and wait, and for my turn to speak. I'm just happy to be invited. But one thing I will say, as much as I, idolize FDR, I think he is one of the best presidents we ever had. If you think about it, the fact that he instituted, the New Deal and Social Security, it actually saved capitalism, because the breakdown that we are racing towards at breakneck speed because of the divide between the haves and the have-nots would have already crashed, and our country would have imploded by now, because the income disparity at the time was so vast and so many people were struggling and suffering. And when it comes down to it, it shows that you need, some form of democratic socialism. And as it was Vagrant Sam said, capitalism at best is a transitory state from feudalism, but too many are keeping us here. That is spot on. Like, we need to move to a more social democracy where corporations are forced to pay their taxes, what they're supposed to be paying in taxes anyway, and then we take that money and we put it towards social welfare programs that will make sure that there's a baseline below which you cannot fall.
What's the basic payment called? God. Why have I got to mention
Universal Basic Income?
Universal Basic
We're
Payment.
going to need to shift to that, because eventually there's not going to be enough jobs. Like, with automation taking over, hell, even truck drivers and Teamsters are going to be out of work soon. You've got self-driving trucks now. And automation is the #1 job killer. It's not outsourcing. It's not illegals taking your jobs. No, it is literally automation. And as that continues to expand, there's going to be too many people and not enough jobs. And then what the fuck are you going to do?
And it's also education, because one of the reasons that I made any money is because I'm the only person on this side of LA that knows how AC and DC motors run. And I'm so shocked on how people younger than me don't have no idea anything even in the field of how they run, But most of the things that are powered, most of the industrial things that are powered, at least in my city, still run on the old systems, But we're kind of getting aged out where people who don't know how to run them anymore. We are technologically digressing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was just going to say a similar thing that was kind of fascinating. This is a weird story, and it has nothing to do with what's going on in this moment, but it tags on to what you were I know what you were just saying.
No, I'm laughing at Divine Disbelief. They're jumping in the chat. And hold on really quick. I agree that racism is one of the biggest problems in this country. It's institutionalized racism, though. Go ahead.
No, it absolutely is. And I know we've all said it, but I'm just going to say it again. If this had been black black people storming the Capitol.
Oh, they wouldn't have made it on the steps. That's why.
No,
that's why I keep on saying that.
Was called in for them.
And there would be, it would be insane. So
there would have been lots of body bags if it had been black people storming the Capitol.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So that's why I had to turn it off. I couldn't even watch half of it because it, like people say, oh, white privilege doesn't exist. It was on television yesterday.
Oh, for fuck. I'm so sorry.
Anybody who says that privilege doesn't exist of any sort is privileged. Because you can only think that if you come from a space of fucking privilege.
Exactly. And I gotta say, you know, like I've been ignorant in my life. I absolutely have. I still am.
You know what? I was as well. I'm from the suburbs. And when I moved from the suburbs, I was like, holy cow, America is racist.
And you know what the difference is between people like us, Julie, and far-right nutters? Is that we are aware that we're ignorant of things, and we're also prepared to listen to people and learn and try and be better. And they're not, because they think they know better. Sorry.
I'm so sorry for that. Yes, that is all I want. The hiccups are involuntary. It's a spasm of your diaphragm, and I have no control over it. And that is not the prophylactic. That is the muscle in your body. Anyway, really quickly. I'm sorry, Kitty. Really quickly before Kitty has a thing. Oh gosh, sorry. Anyway, point is, nope, got too caught up in my own hiccups. I don't remember what I was gonna say, except that yes, if it had been black people, it would have sucked, and it would have been much worse. That's what.
Well, I mean, just juxtapose the BLM protests in the National Mall with yesterday. They had the National Guard there ready and waiting, and they didn't yesterday. Trump refused to call them in ahead of this, even though it was known that this was going to be a shit show for weeks. But Tornado in a Junkyard in the chat said, at Jen's Little Corner, and isn't it another part how education has become impossible to obtain for poor families because the means to making enough money to pay for school are locked behind higher education? Yes, but also part of the issue in the United States is property taxes are the only source of funding for schools. So the wealthier neighborhoods with the higher property values, they have better schools. And those, I mean, even though redlining is technically illegal now, it's still done. There are even real estate agents that will refuse, you know, they'll show a house to a black person that is not in the white neighborhood, but a white person, they'd show them the prime listing in the white neighborhood. And like, there are racist, you know, realtors that are an issue for that.
There's people, I work on a property that's owned by my family, and I've had people try to call the cops on me on my own property. Are you loitering here? What are you doing here? So people are crazy.
I've heard of several.
No reason why in a properly taxed democracy you cannot have basically free medication, free healthcare for everyone, and free education. These should education and healthcare should be counted as human rights.
But let's stop calling it free. It is not free. It is paid it was paid for through taxes.
Yeah, taxpayer funded.
It is not free.
I'm not anti-tax.
There's no such thing as free tuition.
I'm not anti-tax. I'm not anti-tax. And I pay higher taxes being here in California. I'll show you what I pay.
But just remember, every time one of us calls it free healthcare or free education or something like that, you give 10 points to some idiot on the right that can use it to con people into thinking that really is free, that they're stealing money from you to give these people free stuff. No, it's taxes that we all pay.
Yeah,
we had to do that.
And that protects the most vulnerable in our society. By doing it that way, we are protecting those who cannot.
Thank you.
Jen is right, though. It should not be referred to as free. What is important is equal access for everyone, regardless of income.
Thank you, and thank you. And Jen is correct, and Purple is correct, and I'm sorry, Jenny is correct, and Jen and Purple are correct.
Yeah.
Correct. You're all good.
Yeah. We're all good.
What I was going to say was that our social safety nets. Oh God, sorry, I still have hiccups. I don't know how to get rid of them. Anyway, social safety nets suck in this country. They absolutely suck. And the next time I have officially been laid off long enough to where in about 1 to 2 months, Junk Shop and I are going to have to figure out, if I don't get a job or they don't get a job, we're going to have to figure out how to legally break our lease. And luckily, you know, we have some friends who are lawyers, so we can call them and ask them for advice. They, you know, they'll be cool. They won't charge us. But and we'll have to move in with my parents, which frankly will kill my sex life. It's not something I'm looking forward to. But yeah.
I can't imagine that would be good for Junk Shop either.
No, because my parental units are 78 years old. We haven't even tried to explain the non-binary thing.
Well, then what you should do is not change your sex life, and maybe they'll die soon.
You know what?
It's
give
just
them a complete education.
You never know though. You never know. Like my mom she still goes to church she doesn't go to church every Sunday now, but she's a hardcore Catholic, and I told her about bisexuality. I basically told her the truth. And
your mom's cool.
She you know, she just accepted it for what it is. You know, at some point they can't live your life for you. I know it's scary.
You're absolutely right, Will. You are so right. But the thing is, I came out decades ago to my parents as bisexual at the time, but because pansexual didn't exist. But they don't they're like, whatever, you're married to a dude, it's fine. And they don't understand that Junk Shop isn't a dude. Yeah. So
don't tell me dude isn't a gender term. It's fucking gender.
To them, it doesn't have a penis, yes or no.
Yeah, I'm bitching about this, and I shouldn't be, because we could end up on the street, and that's not what's going to happen to us. So we're better off than other people.
Everyone go and sub to Julie and get her channel up over that 1,000 subs, and then she's got no problem. She can make her come off Twitter, off YouTube.
Please, I'll do the geeky dress up as my D&D character if you want.
We'll do some naked streams together, Julie. That's what we'll do.
That'll be awesome. I'm all for it. I don't fucking care.
I might start winding this up because we're only an hour away from Purple having his stream, and I'm pretty sure people who are going to hop over there as well want a bit of a break in between because we've been going for nearly 2 hours. So I think what I'll do is I'll let everybody have their last word, and then Will and I will end it out. So, Jenny, do you have any last things to add to this?
Capitalism is a failure. That's been known for a couple hundred years, since it was kind of invented in the 1700s. And was that Kitty that you spoke about, Roosevelt? You're absolutely correct that Roosevelt did forestall the collapse of the United States and capitalism, but we've re-entered that point where it is mimicking the 20th century so heavily. It's shocking. We've got a pandemic going. It's going to be solved, and it's going to end, and people are going to party like crazy, like they were in the 20s. There will be a collapse of the economy towards the end of that decade. And it's all going to repeat itself. Yeah. Because why? Because it does every 100 years. If you look back in history, there's collapses, and it just happens. And people are too stupid to pay attention. If they would have paid attention in elementary school and in junior high school and high school, they would have received enough education to know these things, because those things are offered and taught at that level. They don't have to go to college. But people are too busy poo-pooing education and putting people down who choose to get educated, and making a thing that if you get educated, you're not macho enough, you know. And this country is on a rapid decline. And at my age of looking at 70 years old and not a long time here, I'm going to be dead, and you guys aren't. And you better fucking do something, because my power is gone. Nobody listens to fucking people my age. It's up to you. It's up to you, Kitty, because you're young enough. It's up to you, Julie, because you're young enough. Okay? Forget it. You're lost. You're an old friend.
Yeah, but I'm going to live past 100, so I'm going to have to follow you.
Okay.
You do. I hope you do.
I'm certainly not. But something has to happen. And some of that's happening here because we get together on YouTube and we discuss these things. But unless you're going out on the street and making that change for somebody, with somebody, nothing's going to be different.
Well said, Jen.
You got to make the change with somebody, for somebody.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Well said. I wish I'd gone to your last now.
That was gold.
That was
an
gold.
Elvis moment. That was
gold. That's getting clipped out and put up on its own thing at some point.
That was an Elvis moment, right? That was a total Elvis moment right there.
That was. I think I'll let Jeff go next because it is like way early in the morning for Jeff, and he's probably half asleep. So, Jeff.
And you give me the hard task of following Jenny.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I echo a lot of what Jenny has said. People know my thoughts on capitalism. It is a filthy system. It is a anarchic system. It's the only system in human history where people go without because there's too much, not because there's not enough, but there's too much. And certainly. Yes, what was been said about like FDR and the New Deal, and then coming out of that into the out of the end of the Second World War. I mean, a lot of that prosperity was built around the Cold War, and it's too long to get into right now. I call it permanent arms economy, you know, but that could be another discussion for another time. But the results. I know it's a little easy just to blame it all on capitalism, but that is root system. That is the system. This is the system that has fostered things like racism, like undereducation, the culmination. It has been the culmination of what has led to Donald Trump. As I said earlier. Trump is a symptom of the problem. He's not the problem. He ultimately, and the thing is that he was defeated in this election, but let's be honest, it was not like it was a resounding defeat for the ideology that he stands for.
Yeah,
that wasn't defeated. That is what needs to be defeated, and I'll leave it there.
I have to say something. I fucked up with my thumb and I accidentally timed out divine disbelief.
I was wondering about
no
that.
Reason whatsoever.
Yeah,
they're gonna be so mad. They're gonna be so mad at you. They're gonna be so mad.
Wow.
I'm just glad it was a timeout and not a remove a banner.
I would have had to go to fix that later if you'd removed it.
I apologize.
Yeah, I apologize too. Oh,
I was wondering about that.
I was
yeah, I
guessing
can't undo it either.
Like
That's annoying.
I thought they really ticked you off or something.
No, it was just my thumb doesn't work very well sometimes.
Dear. That's hilarious.
My hands don't work right sometimes.
Kitty, you got some final thoughts?
Okay. Going on with the role of everybody else. Yeah, I mean, the combination of fantastical thinking, the increasing gap between the haves and the have-nots, the failures of capitalism as a system, those are what led to the rise of Trump, and we should be worried about, the rise of the next fake capitalist populist who has the charisma of Trump and can get the following, but actually has two brain cells to rub together. And speaking of Trump, fuck Trump. He needs to be impeached and convicted immediately, and every single one of the motherfuckers that stormed our Capitol building need to be rounded up and prosecuted. Outside of that,
Cheers to
A
that one.
pandemic is not over. There's a light in sight. Please wash your hands, wear a mask, socially distance. Don't be stupid. You know, like, we just got to hold on a little bit longer. And please get the vaccine when it is available to you. Like, that's the only way that we can guarantee an end to this collective nightmare. Be safe and be well. Mwah.
Thanks, Kitty. Julie.
Okay, so I found this post-it that I wrote when I was having a really shitty day. And I said, I listen to history. I am a survivor. This will not end me. And I stand by it. Shit is rough right now. It's really hard. And I don't want to go on about my personal situation. It's like so many other people's, but yeah, this stuff. I'm sorry. Let me try to be coherent. Yeah, it's hard. And this is why I take notes. So again, I just want to say that, like, four misguided Americans, granted, died yesterday because they believed Trump. And before that, like, talking about the BLM, absolute, the Black Lives Matter, that were peaceful protests. And we all saw the videos of people getting pepper sprayed right in the eyes and shit when they hadn't done anything. I mean, there was one gentleman, I saw a video of him getting arrested, and he was literally kneeling on the ground. And there were other people behind him, like, with their hands on his shoulders, and he was telling the cops, "I love you," over and over again, and they fucking arrested him. So, I mean, yesterday we hadn't heard of any arrests. Now we have roughly the number of 63. There is a huge difference, okay? You absolutely have the right to peacefully protest. You have the right to redress the government for grievances. We have that right, and it is an important right, and we need to keep it. So I'm glad that the people who are peacefully protesting, these very misguided white motherfuckers, were not treated that way, because no one should be treated that way for peacefully protesting. But the people who broke the windows and the people who charged on and walked through the gallery with a goddamn Confederate flag. I'm sorry, Jen. I can't not curse right now. I'm sorry.
This is my channel. You've seen my videos. I've been naked in several of them.
I know. I wouldn't do mine. I don't because it's not my It's not my platform. So I just wanted to say. But yeah, so the motherfuckers, the racist motherfuckers who, like, walked through there with a Confederate flag, and having lived in the South my whole life, born and raised, it's fucking disgusting, and it's horrible, and I can't. So all I'm going to say is that there will be a very special episode of Wine and Reason tomorrow at noon Central Standard Time US. One Ring and I are going to get together and discuss this in some detail. And Jen, thank you so much for letting me be here tonight. And that's really all I have. I'm sorry I nattered on so much, but I love you all, and I'm so glad that we were able to come together and talk about this.
It was cathartic.
Absolutely.
It's fucking cathartic. Thank you, Kitty. Thank you, Will. I'm good.
And yes, thank you, Jen, for inviting me.
We still have one more guest. You're always welcome, Kitty. You are always welcome. Purple. I left you for last because I want you to have a good opportunity to shout out your stream, which starts in a little under an hour. So, go for it.
Okay, I was hoping you would have buried me in the middle because now I'm expected to say something profound. And look all being said.
No, Will and I have that job because we get to go last. So
No, but I think going off of what Kitty said, yeah, what we really need to fear is somebody who will have the same ideologies as Trump and actually be competent.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So I'll be starting my stream on my channel in a bit under an hour here, that I do every Thursday night at midnight, which is never any specific topic. It's just
you know what this topic's going to be.
To chat about whatever. What?
You know what the next topic's going to be.
Well, if I make a topic, I can be sure we won't discuss it. Because we never stay on topic in my stream.
I was about to say, I love how you start off with the topic though, Purple. I love that.
It's so hopeful.
Hopefully we can get onto some interesting, nicer stuff on your channel because it'd be nice to have a distraction from the bad.
Absolutely, it's Earth Rotation Day, and I learned what day it is from Purple Stream. Actually,
so everyone, make sure you tune into Pep's channel in just under an hour at midnight Central Time, because it's always a lot of fun and yeah, it's mayhem and fun mayhem at that. All right, so babe, what do you have to say about all this?
I have a lot to say, but I'm gonna I have nothing nice to say. So next week we will be we'll be talking about LGBTQIA+ issues, and we were gonna do it this week, but America decided to
explode.
You know, start the garbage fire. Yeah, exactly. Be on my parade. So next week we'll be talking about issues that are close to my heart. So you guys are all invited. It'll be another party.
Yeah, basically we're going to be covering LGBT allyship within the actual community, because quite often the community itself, people outside of it think, oh, it's one big united front, but it's not. You've got gays and lesbians, and you've got trans people, and sometimes these communities within it, which have very dispersed things that are important to them individually, don't necessarily agree and can fight each other over the positions we should take as a group to promote human rights and benefits for us, all of us in general. So we want to talk about allyship actually within the community. So most of the people on the panel are going to be members of the LGBTQ+ community, and we're going to discuss that from within it.
Absolutely.
I don't know about that crap.
And as a gatekeeper, I think gatekeeping is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, there's a surprising number of TERFs in the LGBT community, and it's
Why?
We'll save this discussion for next week, though.
I know. Exactly.
I'll wait. I can't wait to watch. I can't wait to watch that, because I thought you were all one hive mind promoting the gay agenda. That's what I was all
So
well said, Jeff.
Jeff, anytime, just say the word. We'll let you in.
Jeff, my brother-in-law, if my sister ever gets divorced, I'm totally sending a Baptist chick your way. Just FYI.
Oh dear, she'll hate you forever, Julie.
Oh, she will.
Everyone.
So
I want to thank you all for coming and joining us. It has been an astounding show. Been absolutely brilliant. I want to thank everyone in the chat. I know we haven't read out everything that people have said, but the chat's been very dynamic, very, very much on par with this discussion. Again, I want to say sorry to Divine Disbelief for Jenny's bad thumb. You are loved, and we missed having you on the stream today. They actually were going to join us, but Nathaniel was going to join us, but they've had technical issues, and they were not able to join us on the stream, unfortunately. But yes, thank you to everybody, and a huge, enormous, gigantic shout out to Amiga Nuts, the shill above all shills.
Absolutely.
He should only be known as awesomeness. Thank you,
absolutely.
You are absolutely.
I could never stop thanking you. Absolutely.
You have surpassed Dave. I gotta say, I'm sorry.
No, Amiganuts is king of the shillers.
He is.
Definitely.
Amiga's awesome.
Amiganuts.
Much respect. Much respect.
Amiga has also been incredible and very instrumental.
What's that, Perp?
Amiga has also been very instrumental in all the many successful fundraising campaigns we've had for people within the community.
Absolutely. I know about them because of Amiganuts.
Thank you, Amiganuts, with all of my heart. Thank you.
Much respect.
Yes, from all of us. We love you. So thank you all again. It's been amazing. Catch us next week for that discussion about allyship within LGBTQ communities. We'll probably diversify from that subject a bit and start talking about other things within that. We're going to have a range of people from different elements, not just a group of all trans people. We're going to have bi, gay, lesbian people as well. So we're going to have a group.
Them?
We'll have a different thing. Yeah, Julie will be there.
Oh, you know I fucking.
And so will Purple. And I assume Jenny's joining us, although I hadn't got around to asking Jenny.
Yeah.
And if you're cool with Junk Shop being there,
I'm very cool with Junk Shop being there. Oh, I can use one spot.
It'll depend whether my new vibrator comes in or not.
Well, you can use your vibrator on stream. I've done it.
Well, that's what I was planning.
Oh, it's such a good video. I blushed so hard.
Jenny, does your new vibrator have a USB connection so that we can activate it remotely?
Oh!
No, it's actually going to be
a game show. That would.
I'm not going to give you the.
Give Jenny the buzz. Yep, there's the game show.
Exactly. I just thought it was a game right
Give
there.
Jenny the buzz.
Oh my god.
Okay, I want to say thank you all again. We'll catch you all next week, and we'll see you over at Purple's in about 45 minutes. All right.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Okay. Bye, all.
Bye.
We're not all horrible.
Yes, we are.
Aren't we?
No, not everyone.
Maybe.
I meant.
Well, some of you just aren't trying hard enough.
Well.